Thank you. I've been a professional speaker for many years, but it wasn't until I joined NSA and started really getting involved that I understand what it truly meant to be a speaker. I gave a speech last October in Saudi Arabia. It was for the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. And the speech was very meaningful to me because in Saudi Arabia, the women are not allowed to vote. They're not allowed to drive. They have to have their heads covered with black robes, and in many cases, they have to have their faces covered. So this was very significant to me because this is a place that I felt very strongly needed my message. These women need to understand how to use their personality to have a voice. So months ahead, they started giving me lessons on what was culturally appropriate and inappropriate, and they instructed me very carefully that there were 3 things that I could not pack. The first thing was liquor, the second thing was pornography, and the third thing was pork. Now, this is actually really strict because liquor could even include scope or rum-flavored chocolates, and the pornography could even include magazines like Cosmo or Glamour. And I could deal with the first 2 of these things, but it was the third thing where I really started having trouble because there's a pork-like object built into my last name. And so it was about 5 days before I had to fly to Saudi Arabia, and suddenly it came to the attention of the powers that be that they had hired a woman with the last name Hogshead. This was a new issue, and on my They pointed to my website that there was a large hog, a hog's head logo, and they said this was beyond unacceptable. And there was no mention of the fact that my tagline has the last name Smartass. I guess that didn't translate. So the good news was I was allowed to keep my last name, but the bad news was that I had to totally change my website to take my logo down, or else I wasn't going to be able to give this speech. And I really thought about this carefully because I think for all speakers, it's incredibly important that we have integrity with our content. It's okay for us to customize for clients or personalize for different audiences, but we cannot water down who we are and what we stand for. But this was an opportunity for me to share my research with this group that I felt very strongly needed it in this part of the world, and they could use it in a positive way. And I felt from watching my female role models at NSA, I knew how empowering it was to watch a strong woman on the platform, watching women like Victoria Labalme and Connie Podesta and Kristen Arnold, watching these women, I knew what that felt like to have that kind of strength. So I did agree to remove the hog contraband from my website. And a few days later, my husband Ed and I, we traveled to Saudi Arabia. And the travel time alone was 2 days. Felt like 3 because we weren't allowed to have liquor and porn, but we did our best. And then finally, it was our big morning. You know, it was the speech, and I was just about to go on stage. And right before I walked on stage, after traveling 7,500 miles, I was about to walk on, and my university contact came up to me, and he said, "The hog is back." And I said, "What do you mean?" And somehow the hog had come back onto the website after I'd gone through all this work to remove it. So he told me I could not go on stage. This was actually a deal killer for them, that I couldn't go on stage until the hog came down. So long story short, the hog came down and I gave the speech. And I don't know if it was a practical joke, but I feel like in some small way, this was the speaking gods telling me that if anybody tells us we need to water down our message, that we need to think twice about this, that we can't compromise what we speak about, because leadership is a strong and distinct point of view that we have to hold. We have to be able to take a stand. We won't win by being quiet. We only win by being heard. So if you lose the love affair with your work, if you lose what your message stands for, then you begin to sort of care. And if you sort of care, you start to sort of fail. And this is what I've learned from NSA, how to really not care, how to have a truly passionate engagement with my work. Being a speaker is the profound and glorious and terrifying and absurdly difficult but infinitely rewarding process of caring deeply every single day. I'm deeply grateful to NSA for this award and for never not caring. There's so many people in NSA who have helped me, but right now I want to thank my parents, Mom and Dad. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for giving me small-town Iowa work ethic. Thank you for every single piece of encouragement throughout my career, and thank you for giving me the last name Hogshead. And thank you to my beloved husband, Ed. I love you so much. You make my career possible. Thank you. I'm so deeply honored to be part of this organization, part of this profession. The world is not changed by people who sort of care, but the world is changed by you. Thank you very much.